Hello there everybody, so Barnage Wegreimer and welcome back to the house in Fata Morgana. I now understand Morgana. She's still doing a terrible thing to Giselle and Michelle, but I understand her now. This time, when my body crashes into the tower stairs, I'm unable to make a noise. The obstruction is less mental and more physical. The excruciating pain. It's so intense I can't even eke out a scream. My vision is distorted, my mind thick with fog. I feel like I'll fall into a bottomless pit if I loosen my grip on my consciousness even slightly. Through the haze, I see my own severed left arm, reflected in a pool of blood. I see my face, large chunks of flesh peeled off.
Look at you, trying to crawl up those stairs like a worm. How pathetic. It's like I'm looking at my old self.
I can barely form a coherent thought. I can't lament her inhumane fate, can't mourn for her, or be shocked by the revelation about the three men and her history with them. Pain. It fills every corner of my mind, every nook and cranny of my body.
You figured it out by now, haven't you, my dear? You'll never make it to me. It's not possible. But it's not your fault. It's not because you're weak. There's simply no one who can bear this pain. You're allowed to give up, to rest. There's nothing wrong with that. The pain, the crushing weight, it's miserable, isn't it? But all you have to do is turn back, and it'll all go away. The
witch whispers her sweet temptations.
You've put in a fine effort. There's no shame at all in throwing in the towel.
Her voice is soft, gentle, pleasant, saccharine.
Concede defeat.
If I do, it will all go away. The searing pain spreading from the stump of my left arm. The sensation of being perpetually drained of my blood. The miserable solitude of staring at a door that never opens. The laughter I can hear through the window. My miserable wailing, and this maddening hatred. I can end it all.
That's right. It will all be over. You have the power to make it stop.
Make it all stop. Hell no, I ain't giving up on Giselle. No! I can't let that happen. No! I have to get her back at my side. I'll do anything to take her back, even if it means I end up 1,000 tiny scraps of meat. I will not give up on her for any reason.
You won't, will you? No, such beautiful resolve. Willing to sacrifice yourself to save the girl. Like a hero of legend. Or maybe a fairy tale prince.
No. I am no hero, and I am no prince. I am a human, an ordinary man. I don't have any extraordinary potential. I'm not a courageous leader or a charismatic general. I'm just a regular man, in love with a regular woman, who refuses to lose her. I don't need any other accomplishments, only that. That's all I need. Because I'm just a regular man. My one act of resistance. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how much you cut me up. Nothing changes what I have to do. I have to take her back. and set her free of this mansion. Nothing else. And never will I back down on that. Arms or no, as long as I can move, I must push forward. I must make my way to the woman who waited for me for so long. Up, to the top of the tower. Forward. Ever forward. Ever onward! Damn, Michelle. Dragging my bloody body, paying the pain no mind, I once more arrive at the top of the observation tower. I place my hand on the door, holding myself up with my lacerated right arm. Take a moment to catch my breath, then lift my head, gaze into the void, and shout her name. Morgana! I pity you. I truly do. You were a saint shackled with an unfathomable fate, and for that I am enraged. As I felt your pain, as I watched your life, I too felt a burning hatred for those 3 men.
If you truly feel that way, then why can't you stay here with me? We're all dead anyway. We've reached our ends. Do you honestly think there's anything more for us? There isn't. The end is the end. So what do you say, the 3 of us, me, you and Giselle, torture the 3 of them and everyone they cared about? Make them suffer here for all eternity in this house. And that way, you and Giselle can be together forever too.
That's not an option!
Why not?
Because hatred only brings you pain.
Oh, that's brilliant. You spouting stupid platitudes at me. I can't believe my ears. Save your nonsense moralizing about how hatred does you no good. I won't hear it. I'm doing just fine for myself, my dear. In fact, I've never been better. I feel wonderful. Did you think that would be enough to persuade me? Really? How disappointing. And here I thought you understood me.
Morgana.
Why don't you say what you really think? Go right on ahead. Hate them as much as you want. But keep me and Giselle out of it. Why didn't you just say that?
I do feel bad. Truthfully. For all the time we spent together, never once did I ask about your life. I was so focused on myself. And in the end, I pushed you away.
That you did. You wanted to be with Giselle, so you pushed me out.
I wish I had asked you sooner.
It wouldn't have changed anything, though. One puny man knowing what I went through would hardly be enough to erase the loathing I bear. It would have turned out the same regardless. There was nothing you could have done for me. There is nothing.
Still, I would like to apologize. Had I known what you'd carried in your heart, perhaps I could have chosen my words better. Instead of rejecting you, I could have chosen some other response. I cannot remain in this house, nor can I allow her to stay either. So I would like to apologize for both my past actions and my present.
Well, in that case, open the door, Michelle.
I take another moment to catch my breath, and then I gather my strength into the hand on the door. Blood seeps from my fingertips, slowly trickling down the rough surface. It reminds me of my death. I'm coming for you.
Damn.
I push open the door, praying that it will be the last. That beyond it lies light for Giselle. And if possible, that it might cast a bit of light on Morgana's heart as well. What? However, why am I in my bedroom? What I find behind the door is the last thing I expect. Huh? As she appears from the shadows of my chambers, I can't conceal my surprise. Giselle! Is this another illusion, Morgana?
No, it's not. I'm the real me. Thank you for coming all the way here for me.
She's thanking me. So why isn't she smiling?
That was very kind and courageous of you, Michel. I'm deeply moved you would have such compassion not only for her, but for someone like me. But you know what else you are? You're a worm!
What is it this time, Morgana?
What do you say we pull back the curtain, my dear?
What curtain?
There's one detail that hasn't yet come to light. This isn't your first time, your first return to the mansion, is it? You've been back numerous times. Each time not remembering her, and each time hurting her even more.
What are you talking about?
What am I talking about? Oh, you know good and well, my dear. Or do you honestly believe that all the other pieces were in their rightful places, and you alone was some exception?
What, the fact that I was the female Michelle, but for some reason I was reconstructed as a girl 3 times? I never...
Tell me, how was it? Living in so many different eras, not knowing who you were, and playing with all the different men?
No! You're out of your mind! You make it sound like I was...
Not like, my dear. You are the white-haired girl.
Enough! How could anyone possibly confuse me with her?
To tell you the truth, I couldn't see it was anyone else. Your white hair, red eyes, porcelain skin, and your name. Tell me, what about you isn't the same?
We are not the same person! I'm a...
I saw the letter.
What?
The one you had hidden.
No.
And you didn't think that was worth mentioning?
No, Giselle. I didn't mean...
You're exactly right, my dear Giselle. He deceived you. He kept a very important secret from you. Despite showing up before you multiple times, he cast you aside again and again.
No, that wasn't me. It wasn't...
It all makes sense now. Nothing you ever did was for me.
Giselle! I...
Go on, Giselle. Tell me exactly how you feel. Michelle?
Don't. Please don't say it. Not that, please. I'm begging you. Stop. Please don't. Giselle!
Not actually.
Please. Don't say it!
A man at all, are you?
Oh. Oh.
You're disgusting. You're the only one it could have been, my dear. The only one who could have been the white-haired girl.
The next moment, my whole world comes crumbling down. Could have borne anything. Losing my arm, having my face torn off. Any amount of pain, I could have handled it. For you, I could have done it. Not this. Hearing those words coming from your mouth. Being rejected by you. That I cannot. Those words, they bury me alive. And you're the one person I never wanted to hear them from. Damn. Oh boy. When I learned my father Antonin had passed, I wrote 2 letters, one to my brother and one to my mother. It was the first time I had found the courage to face my mother, to open up to her. I wanted to show her who I was, convince her that I wasn't cursed, so I could be myself when I returned to the capital with Giselle. Dear Mother, there's something I wish to tell you, something that means a great deal to me. So I ask you, please hear me out. And I ask you, please accept it. Mother, I no longer bear any resentment for my present lot in life. Nevertheless, I would ask of you to concede one thing, that I was never cursed, that I was always your son, that I am Michel, not Michel. I have found someone whom I care for dearly, a woman, and I love her with all my heart. I would like to spend the rest of my life with her. I do not wish for much, simply to have a quiet life with her. To go through our days together, man and woman. That is the one thing I want. Mother, I know you are aware that my body is no longer female.
So that's why every time he was reconstructed, it was as a girl. Because that was Michelle's original gender.
I am a man. My heart is male. And I ask of you to please accept that. I have no grudge with you. In fact, I am incredibly grateful to you for bringing me into this world. With love, your dearest son. Shortly after sending that letter, I was killed.
Jesus Christ. I did not see that coming. Holy fuck!
I'm dragged down, against my will, into the darkness. Beneath me spreads my own past, my door, the door I swore never to open. But despite all my efforts to resist, the door sucks me in, into a world I never wanted to see again, a history I never wanted revealed, a past I never wanted anyone to see. Nonetheless, the door opens. The seventh door. 1086.
Oh my god.
Or wait a minute, perhaps the child was born... Maybe the child was born with both? I know that's I believe that's a supposedly extremely rare occurrence, I think. Maybe I'm an idiot. There are two things out of the ordinary about that baby. The first, its parents embraced, and the second, they wholly rejected. Although, it was some time before the baby's second peculiarity emerged. And until it finally did, no one was any the wiser. Not even the child itself. Its mother surely enjoyed that brief period of happiness, before a child finally realized the truth. Blind to the fact that the moment it had let out its first cry, everything came crashing down. To this day, she still doesn't know the child she gave birth to. That she set loose a curse upon the world. A curse that turned angels into demons, humans into witches. Okay. My god, look at that.
She's beautiful, isn't she? Have you seen her laugh?
Not yet, I haven't. At any rate, that color certainly is something else.
God's gift to us. No, she's an angel sent from heaven.
An angel? Ah, yes, I can see it now, Lydia. Liddy. Her white hair and almost translucent skin. It's beautiful.
My, she opened her eyes. Maybe she felt you nearby. Do you like your father more than me? Is that it, sweetheart? Gorgeous, aren't they? Such a deep, enchanting color, like two little jewels.
Ah, that they are. Magnificent shade of red. I've never seen anything like it. And this is our child.
She's special. I can feel it. We have to take good care of her. She needs a name. One that's just as special as her. Have you already chosen, Antonin?
You're the one begging for a girl. You do it. Besides, I already had to rack my brain for the boys' names. Now it's your turn.
Are you really going to let me? My, that's quite a lot of pressure.
Name her after an angel, then.
Ooh, I like that. All right, then. We'll call her Michelle, after the Archangel Michael. You'll grow up to be as beautiful as an angel, my Michelle. I've always wanted a little girl.
With her snowy white hair, her skin so pale you could see the veins beneath it, and her ruby red eyes. I don't think I'm through his perspective right now. So, she was a very peculiar-looking little girl, and her mother showered her with love. She truly believed her daughter was an angel sent from above, born as a human child. The blessed babe, born a girl, was given an angel's name, Michelle. Oh, me. Whoa.
Checkmate.
Whoa, hello. Didier. Is that your brother? Ugh. Nah, screw it, I'm gonna give him the same. I'm gonna give the Oishi voice. I see. That's what you did. Guzzes. I completely overlooked that. Actually, yeah, I'll stick with it. I know I gave, oh fuck, what was his name? I gave that kid the voice, but why not? I thought you were advancing with your pawns, but that was all a diversion.
You're too short-sighted, Didier. You look at the big picture. Sometimes it's the tactician and not the soldier holding the sword.
You got me. You're quite good at this, Michelle. What inspired you to take such an aggressive strategy?
It was not inspiration. It was derivation.
Derivation?
Chess is in many ways similar to real war tactics.
My military texts. You haven't read all of them, have you?
I have nothing but time.
Impressive! Even I haven't read all the books in my room. You plan to join the Order with that kind of knowledge?
You jest. You're the one who's going to be a knight, Didier.
That I am. War is the men's job, after all. I want you to be there to welcome me home. Georges, hello. Wait a minute. Do you look like a somewhat happier, you look like a somewhat happier Jacopo. Didier, oh Didier. I'm in a bit of a bind, could you... Oh, hello there, Michelle.
I didn't know you were home, Georges.
I just got back.
Yep.
Oh, playing chess again, are you? Let's see, what do you have here? Get away from the board! Yikes! You got trounced. I can't keep up with the voices here! Yeah, fuck it, I'll give him mine. Yikes, you got trounced, huh? And you call yourself her big brother. As if you're any better.
That's not funny, Georges. Georges. I cannot approve of someone who can't keep up with the flow of battle becoming a knight. Given our family's rank, you would eventually be put in charge of other soldiers.
What, are you worried about me?
No, I'm saying...
I've been blessed with such a caring sister. But fear not. I have a guardian angel after all.
Where's the logic in that?
Sorry to interrupt your, moment, but...
Does nobody listen to me?
Now, don't pout. So what seems to be the problem, Georges? Yes, listen to this. The royal court is holding a swordsmanship show. And for some reason, I was selected to participate. How unfortunate for you. I can already see you on the ground sobbing. Hey, now, that's just mean. Besides, my hands weren't meant to hold a sword. Look at these dainty fingers.
They're covered in calluses.
Dainty calluses? Tell me, why would they have an artist sword fight? Wait. Is he the painter? That's the whole point, I would think. Why'd you get so worked up? No one's expecting you to win. Maybe not, but we do have a name to worry about. And you know what that means, don't you? I'm going to lose! That's a given. But I want to do it in style. I feel bad for your sword. Oh, don't be like that. Come on, that time's a wasting. To the courtyard we go. Just so you know, if I train you, I'm gonna train you right. All I want to know is how to look good. What is it, Michelle?
May I watch?
Fine with me, but you know you can't go outside.
I'll be watching from the hall. I can open one of the windows facing the courtyard.
Still, you need to be careful. You can't spend too much time in the sun.
I know.
Damn.
I had 2 older brothers. The eldest, Didier, belonged to an order of knights that served the church. And below him was Georges, who served as a court artist. He was, in all likelihood, who would inherit the family estate, as knights were not formally allowed to own property.
What?
Nevertheless, the Bollinger family name was upheld by Didier. And then there was me, the youngest, the only daughter. Physically, I was not in particularly good health. Because of the color of my skin, I was hypersensitive to sunlight. I rarely left the estate. My world was contained entirely within these walls. And perhaps out of some sense of pity or compassion, my 2 brothers spent a good deal of time with me. Didier played chess with me, and Georges taught me how to draw. And among other things, they taught me how to read and write. For a girl, I was incredibly fortunate. The one thing I wasn't allowed to do, though, was hold a sword. While hardly anything unusual, it bothered me deeply. And it had for as long as I could remember. If I had been told I couldn't do it because I lacked the strength, I probably would have accepted it. But the reason given was not that I was weak, but that I was a girl.
Because everybody back then were sexist.
And with each passing year, the smoldering frustration in the back of my heart grew larger.
Oh. Come on, put your back into it. But, like I said, all I wanted is to put on a good show. Oh, you'll put on quite a show, unless you learn how to swing that sword properly. Give me a break!
Out in the garden, my 2 brothers traded swings bare-chested. All I could do, though, was observe from afar. And every time I found myself forced to watch, I felt a sharp pain, like a needle piercing my chest. A needle that seemed to be growing ever thicker. My mother and my brothers loved me dearly, but that didn't change the fact that the outside world lay beyond my reach. I was trapped in the estate by my own body. At first I thought that was the root of my pain, but that answer seemed to contradict something inside me. Something I couldn't explain. Something I couldn't ignore even as a child. So I searched within myself trying to find an explanation for the constantly swelling sensation of wrongness inside me. Gender identity disorder, I think. Day after day I gazed into the cavern of my own heart. My! Now what are the 2 of them doing out there? Georges was asked to do a swordsmanship show at the royal court, so Didier is helping him. Swordsmanship? Oh, I just can't stand those shows. Blades are so dangerous. I can't watch people swinging them at each other. Why don't you come back to your room with me, Michelle? I would love to teach you how to sew. But, Mom, I want to watch them practice. Michelle? First of all, you need to watch how you speak, young lady. You do not call me Mom, you call me Mother. Jeez. This is what happens when you spend so much time around boys, you sexist prick. As your mother, I don't approve of you playing chess or making art. What? A woman has no need for such skill. Oh my...
Okay. I know it's a different era. Doesn't change the fact that I'm getting a little ticked off.
They will only make you look insolent.
Well, fuck you, you insolent bitch!
But I want you to grow up to be a respectable woman. That is my job and my dream as your mother.
So apparently she's not allowed to have a dream, I see. Thank you.
Now come. I would rather you looked at some fine embroidery with me than a couple of sweaty men. Yes, Mother. You are my little girl, after all.
No I'm not even gonna I'm gonna read that out, but yeah.
Spending time with my mother was agonizing. Was it because her world was so isolated? No, that wasn't it. Her gentle voice, the sweet scent of her perfume, The way she constantly told me how much she loved me and her diatribes about how wonderful it was to be a girl. Everything she did put so much pressure on me. But above all, she loved to say, "You are my little girl after all." And then there was nothing strange about that at all. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw the daughter of a noble. That was who I was. So the only thing wrong was how I felt. But every time I was faced with the reality of who I was, my heart wavered. I had no interest in learning to embroider. I didn't understand why that was necessary. I knew what purpose it served. Everything she taught me I would need when I was wed off to some noble boy, and it was my responsibility to learn those things. It didn't feel right, though. I couldn't even accept the fact that one day I would be married. It was but an ominous shadow lurking in my future. I would have preferred ravaging the books in Didier's room than having a conversation with my mother. Well, yeah, so would I. Tales of heroes of old and dauntless soldiers, military texts written by tacticians in the midst of war. Thinking about them set my heart aflutter and made me think about my brother. He was trained to be a knight. I envisioned armor flecked with rust, a longsword glimmering with the blood of savages. Soon I found myself in my fantasies, imagining how the sword would feel in my hands. The sensation of the hilt beneath my fingers, swinging it gallantly like my brother. How heavy was it? How much muscle would I need to carry it? Actually, I think it depends on the make and brand of the sword. They're not that heavy. I guess it depends. You could be using a Zweihander or a Claymore. How much impact would I feel in my hands when I struck something? Depends on what you're hitting, I guess. How restricted would my vision be wearing a helmet? Depends on the helmet. How much did it weigh? How hot was it inside? I would never know. I had no way of answering any of those questions, though. Neither do I.
Kill me now!
I have some cloth if you'd like to wipe yourself off.
Huh, yeah, thanks. I'm so dead.
You were at it for a long time.
I've never known D to half-ass something once he gets started. Which I guess is what makes him a knight material, but...
Are you opposed to him becoming a knight?
Well, you know, I kinda assumed he'd inherit the estate and handle taking care of everything. So it's like, why's he gotta go and be some priest's whipping boy? Don't tell him I said that, though.
He wants to fight for the greater good.
I don't know. Despite the name, he wouldn't be doing much fighting himself. Anywho, someone as passionate as him might be able to make changes for the better.
Changes?
He knows what condition the Order is in. That's why he's joining. Figure he wants to whip him into shape, melt him down and reforge the whole thing.
So he might be able to change things.
What are you muttering about, Michelle? Hey, whoa, hold it!
The pain I felt in my chest when I smelled the sweat emanating from George's body. When I looked at his slender but distinctly male build, I was convinced it was admiration. Did I want to become a knight too? Maybe the discomfort I felt was because I wanted to be like him. Would it all go away if he were able to change the rules and I could join the Order as well? I was positive it would.
Oh.
Didier!
Michelle, hold on. You can't come barging into my room unannounced. I'm trying to change.
We need to talk.
I said stop. You're a girl. You can't just walk in on a man when he's changing.
I see no reason for you to be so self-conscious.
Listen to me, Michelle.
Georges tells me you're planning to overhaul the Order.
He told you that. No, I hardly had such grand aspirations.
Don't be coy. I believe you have what it takes to do it, Didier.
What's gone into you? You're unusually fiery today.
So I want to ask you a favor. When you have enough influence in the Order, I would like you to make me a knight too.
You... what?
I'm tired of the way Mother treats me. Always saying I can't do this or that because I'm a girl. I want to learn how to swing a sword. I don't want to do embroidery. I don't care about jewelry or fancy clothing.
Michelle. What's gotten into you?
I'm so much more interested in the world you live in, Didier. So please.
Well, I'll be. I suppose we must have let ourselves spend too much time with you.
Not you too! That's exactly what Mother said!
First of all, Michelle, you don't have the strength to hold a sword.
Then I'll train until I do. And if that doesn't work, I still have my mind. You know good and well I could...
People are not chess pieces, Michelle.
But Didier...
But above all, you're missing the most important point. I will not, for any reason, become the kind of man who makes a woman take up a sword.
Didier...
This may seem normal to you, growing up with two brothers, but I want you to listen to me, Michelle. Men and women walk different paths. Men wield swords and fight against dangerous enemies, and they do so to protect the weak, women and children. I'm here to protect you and your mother.
You're no different than her. You don't treat me any different than her.
Honestly, what's gotten into you, Michelle? Why wouldn't I treat you like a daughter of the Bollinger estate? Your brother and I, we never meant to make you think...
Forget it.
What?
I'm sorry. I knew what I was asking was foolish.
Oh?
But I thought you would understand how I feel. Even just a little bit. What was I expecting him to understand? Even I didn't understand the things I felt. I wanted to know what had gotten into me far more than he did. What I had done was no better than throw a temper tantrum. Was I that desperate to become a knight? No. I just thought that the key to the chains in my heart lay down that road, but ultimately there was nothing. Assuming Didier had agreed, and assuming I did become a knight, it wouldn't do anything for the core problem. As I dashed from my brother's room, I snuck a peek at him. His face was filled with an intense perplexity. And how could I blame him? I tried to push a dozen different ideals onto him at once. Filled myself with the vain hope that he would somehow be able to make sense of me when I couldn't even make sense of myself. And now, bubbling with unwarranted anger at being let down, I fled to my own chambers. I can only imagine how frustrating that must have been for him. Damn. It was the spring of my 14th year. Heavy clouds filled the skies, blocking out the sun and giving the impression of late evening all throughout the day. I, for one, preferred it when the sun wasn't out. Not that sunlight would kill me, but if it was bright enough, the whole world was so white I could hardly see a thing, which meant I could only go outside on days when the weather made most everyone else gloomy. As I was meandering through the courtyard, whoa, I spotted someone I had never seen before. A warm breeze blew past, sending up a swirl of flower petals. The girl's dress hung tightly over her frame, tracing her gentle curves. "Who are you?" I asked bluntly, and the girl twirled around, smiling. "My apologies. You just have such beautiful courtyard where I let myself in for a little walk." Long chestnut hair flowed over round feminine shoulders. Amy, that was her name? It swayed slightly in the wind. The cloud of melancholy dissipated in the light of her smile. "You must be Michelle. You're just as pretty as I heard." "And you are?" "My name is Amy. It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Finally meet me? What was she talking about? As I stood there baffled by this strange woman, she stepped toward me, kissing me softly on the cheek. "I'm thrilled to make your acquaintance, Michelle." Her voice was like someone pouring honey into my ear. Electrifyingly sweet. "I'm George's fiancé." And it also struck another needle into my chest. She was a noble girl by the name of Amy Jobert. Though only 15, she was the very image of refined, polished to a shine. No one had told me my brother was to be married. It came out of nowhere, and it seemed like I was the only one who didn't know. That evening, when the family gathered around the table for supper, Amy was there too, and they prepared an extravagant feast for the occasion. My father, Antonin, looked so proud of his two boys. Didier soon to receive his assignment, and George is soon to be wed. The banquet proceeded smoothly. Not a doubt in the air that we were a happy family, but my mind was elsewhere. I found myself unconsciously chasing Amy with my eyes. Watching the way those slender fingers gripped her spoon, her full lips parting to allow a piece of fruit in, her deep red tongue visible for but the briefest of moments, the way all the muscles in her face seemed to relax in bliss as sweet juices seeped into her mouth, the way she spoke, so soft and gentle, letting each sound hang in the air just briefly before intoning the next. She was distinctly feminine, in a different way than my mother. Apparently, Amy was going to be living at the Bollinger estate for some time. Mother was pleased to have another girl around. Or more specifically, she was relieved to have found someone other than my brothers for me to spend time with. I had assumed I would hate being around another girl. Surely she wouldn't be able to play chess after all. But for some reason, I felt much less suffocated around her than my mother. One night, Amy's family and an array of nobles from both houses' social circles assembled at the estate for a party. A din, the likes of which I had never heard in my life, filled the great hall. Everywhere I looked, there were people. Servants scrambled every which way, silverware clanged against dishes in an almost constant hum. Voices from all directions. I felt moderately ill. Hey, D, I feel like we're critically short on waiters. This don't look good for us.
And who was it who went about inviting everyone he came across again? Who are these people? Who are these people? Who are those people? Fuck, I forgot I had a stroke in the mid-sentence.
What? They're artists like me. I met them at the court. Let's see, we have some painters, composers, sculptors, troubadours, poets, writers, you name it.
None of them have any connection to the Jobuts or Bollingers.
Sure they do. They're my friends. And you know, this is me and Amy's party.
You can play with your friends elsewhere. I hope you realize we have a reputation to uphold.
Oh, fuck you. Off in one corner, several men, presumably George's friends, gathered in a circle. They stood out from the other aristocrats, both in appearance and the air they gave off. The clothes they wore, the embroidery hidden beneath their jacket cuffs, their manners of speech, the way they held themselves. They were, simply put, a far cry from the hard-headed Didier's ideal party guests. Even watching them from afar, it was clear my two brothers ran in very different crowds. The only reason headstrong Didier and free-spirited Georges were able to get along at all was because they were brothers. If they had been strangers, I doubt their paths would cross much, and if they did, those intersections would be quite rocky.
Hey, come here, guys!
George's shouting voice pulled my preoccupied mind back to the surface. He summoned his friends, then led them to where I stood. What are you doing hiding in the corner, Michelle? I didn't even notice you. Allow me to introduce you to a few of my friends. Georges put his hands on my shoulders, peeling me off the wall and standing me in front of his male friends. Socializing was the last thing on my mind. Oh, whoops. I searched for Didier, hoping he would come to my rescue, but he was off trading pleasantries, facing away from me. This is my baby sister, Michelle. Be nice. Georges, I don't...
Gracious, your skin is even more pale than I imagined. It's like something out of a fairy tale. And why have you never brought her with you to court? She'd be a sure hit. And how old are you now? 12, mayhap?
Now, don't treat the lady like a child. I'll have you know she's 14.
All the more reason she should be out there making friends. The whole court will flip if they knew you had such a gorgeous sister, Georges. Don't be a brute, my man.
Our little angel has to be kept inside for personal reasons.
Uh-oh, sounds like I haven't been showing the lady her due respect. I've yet to even properly introduce myself. Rude indeed.
Their laughs grated on my nerves, and so did the way Georges spoke as though I was his property. They looked like they were appraising me, which made me sick to my stomach. I'd been paying enough attention to notice the man who had asked if I was 12, and the rest of them too, examining me from head to toe instead of in search of curves. I was indeed underdeveloped for 14, but what did that matter? I didn't want a body shaped like Amy or my mother's.
Now then, my lady, a proper greeting.
The man got down on one knee before me. For a split second, I didn't comprehend what he was doing. Go on, Michelle. He's waiting. He whispered into my ear. Then, that was when it all came back to me. The traditional greeting between a man and a woman. Come on, Michelle. Don't tell me you forgot what to do. I knew the process. I had that knowledge. Mother had taught me the rules, shown me the procedure. I was to present my hand to the man for him to kiss. All I had to do was hold out my hand, but I was frozen. My body fought tooth and nail against the simple act. The thought of that man putting his lips on my skin sent a chill through me. Why was this a traditional greeting? Why did I have to go through this? Michelle? But at the sound of George's frantic voice, my arm creaked up from my side. Then I remembered that despite being his friends, they were still nobility. As wanton as his social interactions may have been, he still had a reputation to maintain. And I understood that. I also understood that as their sister, it was my responsibility not to do anything that might tarnish either of my brothers' names. Also, by tradition, the man wasn't supposed to actually kiss the woman's hand. The proper way to do it required he simply mimic the act rather than make real contact. That much I could handle. The man kneeling before me gave me an uncomfortable chuckle at my reluctance, shrugged and reverently took my hand in his. And then he pressed his lips firmly against my skin. There was a vaguely warm sensation on the back of my hand for the briefest moment. What do you... Reflexively, I smacked the man's hand away.
Whoa!
George's eyes went wide in horror, and the man gave another playful shrug.
I was merely offering you a greeting, lady. Or is even that a new experience to you? Your innocence is truly precious.
I was half a second away from throwing a barrage of insults, but I bit my tongue and stomped off instead.
What? Michelle? Hey, come back, Michelle!
I'd spent all that time convincing myself I couldn't humiliate my brothers, but now I wouldn't hear a word of it. I had drawn a fair bit of attention, and other people tried to stop me too, but I brushed them all off, marching my way out of the Great Hall. I feel so dirty. You call that a greeting? No, that was no greeting. That was... I'll be taking that! I say, practically swiping a glass of water off a passing waiter's tray. With it, I washed my hand by the window facing the courtyard. But no matter how much water I poured over it, I couldn't erase the sickening sensation of his mouth on my hand. So I rubbed it with my sleeve until my skin was bright red. I wanted to feel something else. Anything else. Even pain. Think before you act, George. What were you doing inviting people like that into our home? I was angry, and I had every right to be. He had not performed the proper greeting. Even in jest, he had no business actually putting his lips on my hand. It was not acceptable behavior for an aristocrat. He was a guest. He should have been ashamed. Was I angry that he had been disrespectful? No, that wasn't the reason. It was...
That wasn't very nice of you running off like that.
At the sound of his voice, I couldn't turn back. I felt a sickening warmth almost directly against my back. The man from the Grey Hall grabbed me by the wrist, spun me around, and pressed me against the wall. The bitter scent of wine wafted from above. What the hell are you doing? I tried a second time to get away from him, but that was when reality sunk in. I couldn't do it. All the strength I could muster wasn't enough to make the man's hand budge. My arms were locked in place. I didn't think he was especially strong either. He was hardly built like Didier, and still I couldn't move an inch.
You got a tongue like a boy, my lady. But I know some people are fond of that these days. Can't say I mind myself.
Let go! Had I always been this feeble? Were my arms truly so worthless I couldn't even escape this brute's grip? Why did I have to get stuck with this body?
Now, just so we're clear, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm no monster. I promise you that.
Then why are you holding me against the wall?
Because I want to try a chance. I want a chance to try and woo you. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable back there. But the second I laid eyes on you, I knew you were a keeper.
Then let go of me!
But if I do that, you'll run away. And it's my personal rule to never let go of anything I like. Your brother always says you can't go outside, so if I set you loose now, I might never get a chance to catch you again.
I wanted to vomit. Apparently taking my silence for approval, the man perked up and kept going.
If you're not accustomed to being around men, then why not use this as an opportunity to get familiar? Not a half-bad idea if I do say so myself. And I think we'd get along quite well. Besides, I'm a minstrel. Spend some time with me and I'll write you all the songs you could possibly want.
Get away from me!
You really do have the most striking eyes. Makes me want to keep them all for myself. Ugh. With a muse like that, I could write the most incredible songs you ever heard.
I said get back, you creep!
Huh, that's odd. That one's never failed me. The man brought his face just inches in front of mine and peered into my eyes. I could feel his hot, wine-stenched breath against my cheeks. It gave me the chills. I couldn't understand why this was happening to me. Panic and confusion had my heart racing.
Go try your luck with someone else! I'm not interested!
You will be soon enough, darling. You've simply never known a man's touch. He drew closer. He was already practically on top of me, but still he closed in. Closer and closer. The world faded out. I couldn't see anything. I could feel his rising body heat so near it made me nauseous. My eyes flung open, but there was nothing there. I could only feel... I couldn't move. My body wouldn't budge. In my mind, I kicked the man away, pulled my fist back and slammed it into his jaw, again and again and again until his face was unrecognizable. Again and again and again and again, I beat him. But reality would have none of that. Michelle! Hey, what do you think you're doing? 3 seconds, 10 seconds, longer? I had no idea how much time I had lost. But the next thing I knew, George had the man by the collar. I fell back against the wall, staring absent-mindedly as the two struggled. They traded blows and they traded insults. Before long, they had drawn a crowd. While they went at it, I distractedly drifted away, and I only had one place to go. I didn't even bother to light a candle. I just stared into the darkness. My heartbeat was maddeningly loud in my otherwise silent chambers. What had happened? What had he done to me? Why couldn't I do anything? The last thing I wanted to do was cry. Tears would only serve to worsen my humiliation, only magnify how wretched I was, only make me more effete. I bit down on my lip hard. I had no need for that trash on my body. I dug my nails into my arms. I had no need for that trash on my body. All of this, every last bit of it. That was why I was the way I was. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't know how to express this boundless frustration within me. But after enough wordless groaning, a single word slipped from my lips and it felt incredibly right. God damn it! I knew good and well a girl should not be using such words. Even Didier and Georges would have gotten an earful from mother or father if they were caught saying that. Regardless. God damn it! It was the most fitting word I could come with to represent even the smallest bit of my anger and loathing. Jesus Christ. I knew all I was doing was shifting the blame. That all it would accomplish was making me look pitiful. But I would take that over crying like a girl any day. Jesus Christ. I let loose a sigh that was halfway to being a scream, then started clawing wildly at my hair. I wanted to yank out every last damn strand of it. I didn't want it. I didn't want any of it. Any of this body. But in that case, what did I want from my body? Michelle, may I come in? Michelle? It was George's voice, slightly muffled through the door. The man who had invited those people into this house. I'd be lying if I said I didn't hold that against him. Michelle. But at the same time, he had also come to my rescue. Besides, I hated myself the most. I despised myself for being so helpless. I'm sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to hurt you. It's not locked. After a few moments of silence, Georgia stepped into my room. Your hair is a mess, Michelle. And my God, you're bleeding. That was when I first noticed the stinging sensation on my lower lip. A metallic taste spread through my mouth. I've been biting it much harder than I realized, and there was a lot more blood than I expected. A trail of it was running down my chin, seconds from spilling onto my clothes when George just wiped it away. I'm really sorry, Michelle. He can be a real ass when he drinks. And he's a bit of a womanizer at that. I never expected he'd try to go after you, though. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. But, you know, there's a chance he may have genuinely taken a liking to— Wow! That just makes it worse! Sorry. You're right. You want to be with a man you like.
I understand. He ran his hands through my hair as if trying to calm me down, at the same time cleaning up the mess I had made of it. It made me feel like I was some kind of plaything, a joke of a doll. I don't want to be with anyone. I would never, ever be comfortable with a man putting his hands on me like that. However, I'm sure you'll find someone eventually, Michelle. Someone that feels right for you. I feel kind of awful for introducing you to him, but there are plenty of men in the world. You might not be interested now, but that'll change soon. It's part of growing up. You'd be best off forgetting today ever happened. I was dead certain, but apparently that wasn't enough to convince him. The very idea that I might one day meet a man who I wanted to touch me made my skin crawl. Why? Why did I feel like this? Was I just not interested in men? No, if that were the case, I wouldn't admire my brother's bodies. I didn't have an aversion to men. In fact, I enjoyed spending time with my brothers far more than indulging my mother into her woman's world. What I couldn't stand was the particular look men would sometimes give me. But why? Why did I not like that? I had no answers. My thoughts were only going in circles. Are you okay, Michelle? He peered down at me, his face twisted in concern, but I couldn't answer him. How was I supposed to articulate this? My anger, my frustration, my irritation, my fear? I had no confidence he would understand. Georges, how's Michelle? Amy's voice came from the doorway. Inexplicably, I felt like someone had stuck their hand in my chest and was now squeezing my heart. Like I'd just been caught in a compromising situation by the last person I wanted to see me. Yeah, she's doing good, aren't you? Yes, I'm fine. Glad to hear it. I was clearly lying, not even looking him in the eyes when I'd said that, but that seemed to have gone over George's head. Amy, on the other hand. You don't look fine at all, she said, a hint of pain in her voice, and then entered the room. Georges, father was asking for you. He says it's time to bring the gathering to a close. You should get going. I'll stay here with her. Oh, is he? Alright then. Sounds good. Once the sound of George's footsteps had faded into nothing, Amy took a seat beside me and without warning wrapped her arms around my shoulders. It's much better to talk to another girl at times like this. My heart leapt into my throat, but beyond the shock I also found myself welcoming the warmth. It was pleasant, unlike the man's. It must have been terrifying, but don't worry, you're safe now. It wasn't really... No need to pretend, sweetie. If a man had me pinned against a wall, I'd be scared too. I mean it. I wasn't scared. I'm just disappointed in myself. All right. I believe you. You're a strong girl, Michelle. There aren't many who wouldn't have been scared. I'll be sure to give Georges a stern talking to about his choice in friends. Something I learned today is that he's somewhat of a pushover. You're a lot more tenacious than I thought. As a woman in this world, you have to be. And if you're not, well, you'll figure it out soon enough, Michelle. Of course, even as strong as you are, I'm sure it'll still be difficult to forget what happened to you today. Georges had told me to forget it as soon as possible, and to Amy that I wouldn't be able to. Was it the difference in their individual perspectives, or was it the difference between the way men and women thought? I wasn't sure. As my head rested against her breast, a bit of my frustration slipped out. I couldn't move my arms at all. He didn't even seem all that strong. I couldn't believe that I was really so weak. That's just the way of the world, Michelle. Men are physically stronger than women, so you'll almost never overpower one. You're not any weaker than a normal girl. Don't blame yourself. Though it wasn't the consolation I had hoped for, her words still filled me with warmth. I had exploited my own weakness to hear more of that soothing voice, and I alone knew how foolish I was in doing so. Damn. Amy frequently visited my chambers. I didn't know if it was at Mother's request or of her own volition, but I prayed it was the latter. She was a very touchy-feely person, and she seemed to have a particular fondness for playing with my hair. Whenever her voice danced its way into my ears, it would wreak havoc inside me. Being enveloped in her scent day after day, stoked the fire growing within me. I did my best to remain as straight-faced as possible, because the last thing I wanted was her catching on. I understood that the things I was feeling were untoward, to say the least. Your hair's so utterly enchanting. I've never seen hair so white before. I think having color is much prettier. Oh? Well, Georgia says white is the most difficult color to make with paint. There's no greater challenge than capturing the beauty of true white. Living with such a splendid example of the color must have given him a very high standard of quality. Say, Michel, maybe you could tell me about yourself today. I would love to get to know you better. To tell you about myself? Yes, we could become even better friends if we found some mutual interests. I enjoy playing chess, and I consider myself quite good. Oh my, chess? I've never played. You're such a bright girl, Michelle. Would you like to try? I could teach you. I appreciate the offer, but I think I'll pass. I doubt I would be any good. Oh, okay. What else is there? Say, your favorite kind of flower, fragrance, color of gemstone? Are there any embroidery patterns you're particularly skilled at? I don't have any favorites, no. And I'm not especially good with a needle either. No? Do you have shaky hands then? I wouldn't say that, no. I'm fairly good with a knife, I think. A knife? Oh, like a kitchen knife? No, a sculpting knife. A sculpting? Is that really so strange? It is a bit unusual, I'd say. But Georges does it all the time. His room is practically made of wood chips and charcoal and paint. Georges is an artist, and a man. There's nothing unusual about him doing some sculpting. Why is it okay for him but not me? But does being a girl really make that much of a difference? Well, why don't we practice embroidery together, Michelle? I get the feeling you've spent too much time with your brothers. But now you have me. I'm sure it won't be long before you appreciate how much fun cooking and needlework can be. She sounds just like Mother, and she gives the same reason too. Because I'm a girl. But that's not an explanation. It's a vague generalization. That said, if I agree, I can spend more time with her. Okay. Wonderful! We'll come up with beautiful designs together. And when you made something you're proud of, you can give it to a boy who catches your eye. Or if you'd prefer, you could give it to your father or brother. I would like Georges to have what I make, though. Oh, I've been wondering, did you and Georges meet at the royal court? Oh, heavens, no! I've never been to the court. One day my father told me I was getting married. And the next day is when we first met. It happened that quickly? What? Are you worried about me, Michelle? Don't worry, I'm not displeased with the arrangement. In fact, I'm quite happy with it. Aristocratic marriages are almost always sudden. And as a woman, you get used to being at peace in their games. But Georges is different. He's a gentleman. A gentleman? Him? You sound surprised. I believe hedonist suits him better. Oh, I quite disagree. I have complete faith he'll do good by me. I couldn't fathom where she found such confidence in him, especially a man she'd only just met. How could she trust him at all? She was nothing but a pawn, and she knew it. So maybe she was simply putting on an act? I had trouble believing her smile was anything but genuine, though. One day you'll meet the right man for you, Michelle. And he won't be a drunk like the guy from earlier. He'll be a kind, hard-working, respectable man. I would rather not find anyone. I suppose this is all still too soon for you, huh? You guys are like a year apart, if she's like 15 and you're 14. Say, how old are you, Michelle? 14. Oh, wow, I assumed you were younger. Do I really look that young? No hard feelings. You're just like a tiny little doll, so small and slender. And look, not one bit of meat up here at all. Hey! She playfully grabbed me from behind and started prodding at my chest. As her delicate fingers slid across my skin, I found myself gripped by very indecent urges. Every heavy thump of my heart felt sinful. She couldn't know. I couldn't let her. Everything I'd been fighting to keep down came hurtling to the surface. You're so cold, you know that? She was touching me like it was nothing, caressing my hair. Was she this intimate with George? George's? Or was it because I was a younger girl that she was so keen on putting her hands all over me? Before I understood what I was feeling, my body acted. It was pure, unfiltered impulse. In my attempt to escape from her grip, I twisted around only to find my face inches from Amy's. Slowly gravitating closer, I pressed my lips against the corner of her mouth. Whoa! Amy sat there, flabbergasted. I was equally aghast. I'm sorry. As I frantically put some distance between us, I'm sure my face was red as an apple, though I didn't know it at the time. Well, that was certainly unexpected. I'm sorry, did I make you uncomfortable touching you so much? Amy was smiling, though it looked forced. No, not at all. Then I must have startled you. I'm sorry. If I had let you go sooner, we could have avoided this accident. What do you mean, accident? A kiss on the lips is... It wasn't an accident. It wasn't Amy. I seem to have confused you somewhat, Michelle. What? I know I can be very touchy-feely with you, and you took that to mean you should do the same. No. You can't do that again, all right? If you want to kiss your friends, you do it on the cheek. Save the lips for the man you love. Damn. I should get going then. George starts getting cranky if I don't give him enough attention. Hold on, Amy! So long, Michelle. Damn. She wouldn't hear me out. Once Amy had fled my chambers, that was when I finally comprehended my own emotions. That she had stolen my heart. But Amy was George's fiancée. No, that wasn't the problem. My body, was not meant for her love. Damn. I awoke in the middle of the night to pain in my joints. Not enough exercise, I guess. I tried bending and stretching my arms and legs, but it did nothing. So after pondering on it for a bit, I decided to go for a late night walk to distract myself.
Oh, wait a minute. She was clearly born a girl, but she wanted to be a boy. She wasn't born with... Okay.
As I approached the corridor adjacent to the courtyard, I heard a woman's voice. I'm still concerned about staying here. Amy's voice. Doing my best to remain perfectly quiet, I pressed myself up against the wall by the window and listened in on their conversation. I knew it was improper to eavesdrop, but the sound of her voice had me frozen in place. It's Michelle. I'm afraid I've confused her. A tiny jolt ran down my spine, and my muscles all tensing up at once. The sound of my name rising to her lips, but not in the way I would have liked. She kissed me. Well, almost, but how could I have guessed she thought of me that way? Mother told me she didn't have any female friends, and asked me to be one for her, which is why... She had only been coming to see me because Mother had asked for her to... I'd been afraid of that. Afraid that she wasn't there to be with me. That she had no fondness for me. That my yearning for her was one-sided. She kind of scares me, the way she looks at me, always watching every little move I make. I'm sensitive to that sort of thing. I can tell what's going through Michelle's mind. I managed to deflect it this time, but I should have never gotten friendly with her. Ow! God! Ugh. She had seen through me from day one. Understood what I was feeling before even I had. It's disgusting. Homosexuality. Wow, fuck you! Homosexuality? Did I hear her right? Something inside me crumbled, and with it came an intense sense of wrongness. There it was again. That overpowering discomfort. That fear coursing through my veins. That repulsion. That irritation. That apprehension. What on earth was I? Did I view Amy as a member of the same sex? Were the things I felt homosexual? I heard Amy sigh from beyond the window. Then the man beside her, who she was confiding all this in, replied. She's still just a child. With that voice. And one with underdeveloped social skills besides. I understand that she's going to do and say some inappropriate things. It's not uncommon for a child to mistake admiration for love. And I didn't know this until recently, but when she gets something into her head, she has a tendency to run with it without thinking. It was not the man's I had assumed it was.
Oh. Oh.
The other day, she asked me to let her be at night. I can't imagine how she thought that would end any other way.
Why?
It's not very often that there are women other than mother at the estate. I imagine she simply got nervous being around you and something got mixed up in her head.
Why was Didier out there with her? I hope that's all it was. Amy, hadn't you told me you thought Georges was a gentleman? So what were you doing getting so friendly with Didier? And Didier, weren't you my ally? Or was that all an act like her? You were going to be a knight, so why were you out here with your brother's fiancée?
I'm glad to have you here, so I hope you can figure something out to make it work.
I'll do what I can, but... And I'm kind of reluctant to say this to you, but something has to change. As it is, she kind of grosses me out.
Oh, God!
She grosses me out? So what? I was some kind of sick, disgusting creature? All I had done was show feelings for her. I couldn't be Georges or Didier. The needles piercing me expanded, both in size and number. Soon I was being skewered by a dozen of them, and the heated sighs rising from the courtyard only served to make the pain worse. All I could do was cover my ears and run.
Oh, God.
Why? What were you doing out there, Didier? How am I gross, Amy? It's not real. It's all a bunch of lies. This entire house is nothing but a fraud. None of it was ever real. The family gatherings, Amy's smiles, Didier's kindness, George's... What about George's? Did he agree to the marriage knowing about them? What the hell are they thinking? You want to know who's really disgusting? God damn it! I will not cry. I will not cry! I can't let myself. Girls cry. Tears are for girls, not for me. I bit down hard on my lip, wrapped myself up in my sheets, and pressed my hands hard over my ears. Squeezed my eyes shut as tight as I could manage. Tried to get away from the things I had seen. Images of them embracing in the night threatened to float back to the surface, but I shook my head, casting them off, praying I wouldn't have any nightmares. I drifted off to sleep. Oh my God. The next day I awoke with a terrible fever. I hovered in a sweltering wave of heat, unable to tell dream and reality apart, listening to a seemingly endless stream of crackling noises. The sounds were coming from inside my body. I thought I was falling apart. Mother was horribly worried. I'd never been the most healthy child, but I'd never fallen ill this ill either. I couldn't get out of bed. My voice was raspy like an old woman's. I was genuinely afraid I would wither away and die. Mother called in doctor after doctor to see me, but they all said it was the flu. That bodily pain was common with her fever. While there was a doctor in the house, Mother was able to remain relatively calm. But once they were gone, the anxiety came back. Oh shit, I just switched again, sorry. She stayed with me day and night, even foregoing sleep. Her hands gripped mine. They held me fast. She had her head bowed as if in prayer. Don't worry. It'll be all right, Michelle. God is watching over you. He will protect you. You are his child. You are his angel sent to earth. He will not forsake you. The doctors say it's just the flu. Though her words seemed to be directed at me, there was a vagueness in her voice, as if they were really for herself. For so long she had wanted a daughter. I couldn't understand her fixation, but seeing her there through my cloudy eyes, I wanted to apologize for everything. Spending time with her was agonizing. How are you feeling? Your mother's here for you, don't worry. The only sound that came from my mouth was a faint gasp. I drifted in and out of sleep, Mother's hand wrapped around my own, and I had numerous dreams. In my dreams, I was a man. In my dreams, I was Didier and I was Georges. In my dreams, I fell in love with Amy. And in my dreams, I loved her. You're disgusting. But with one word, the dreams twisted into nightmares. My body was torn into fleshy chunks, and I sunk into the darkness.
This is fucked up.
Several days later, my fever was gone like it had never been there. However... What the... My voice did not recover. And when I attempted to climb from my bed, the murderous pain in my joints came rushing back. Instead of my feet, I landed on my face. Ah!
My voice was unbelievably deep. And the pain only got worse. Every time I took a breath, it felt like someone hammering a spike into the back of my neck. It felt like my body was falling apart. Like my dreams were becoming a reality.
Michelle! Michelle!
When Mother scrambled into my chambers, I remembered the time she had spent at my bedside, and a wave of relief came over me. I reached my hand out in a show of vulnerability, but she didn't take it. She couldn't take it. Mother?
What? What's wrong with your voice, Michelle? I see. You're still not feeling well, are you, Michelle?
A look of restrained fear on her face, Mother stepped toward me, placing her hand on my forehead. Her palm felt hot against my skin.
You don't have a fever.
But I hurt all over. My joints.
You're still sick, Michelle. But don't worry, you'll be fine in no time. Now, back to bed with you. You're a girl. You're a girl, so you shouldn't be sitting on the floor.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Was Michelle born a boy but raised as a girl?
It's bad for your back.
As Mother repeated the phrase, "you're a girl," again and again, that nagging sense that something wasn't quite right grew more distinct. Was I really sick? Was this actually my voice now? And if it was, what was I turning into? My voice was certainly not a girl's voice. She was forcibly raised as a girl, which makes me think that at a younger age, the mother was suffering some sort of early, what's the word, dementia? Maybe? My voice never went back to normal, though, so Mother ordered me to remain in my room. I hadn't recovered yet, and so long as I was sick, I couldn't be let out. Again, something felt wrong about her calling it a sickness, but I had no evidence to the contrary. I had no way to know that I wouldn't get others sick if I exposed them, as she claimed, so I had no choice but to do as she said. In time, mothers too stopped visiting me, and the only people I saw were servants. They did their jobs but refused to look me in the eye. No one else came to see me, though. Not Amy, Didier, or Georges. 1 month passed, then 2, then 3. Occasionally, the pain in my joints would withdraw. At other times, it would worsen. Whenever I would drift off to sleep, I would hear the sound of my own joints creaking. I would dream of a woman standing in the courtyard, her soft chestnut hair fluttering in the wind as she twirled to face me, a smile on her face and her breasts exposed. Oh my. One day, after around 6 months of servants refusing to make eye contact, I stopped one and made a request. To have a mirror brought to my room. While he didn't acknowledge me, the next day I had my mirror. By that point, I was fairly certain I knew what was happening to my body. I had no clothes to wear,
because none of the multicolored dresses hanging in my wardrobe fit me anymore. Pulling the heavy red cloth covering the mirror aside, my completely naked body came into view. You're not gonna... Oh. Something resembling a mix of a chuckle and a sigh of pity spilled from my lips. This is me. 6 months. After only 6 months' time, I could hardly recognize myself. Extending my hand for the mirror, I traced the outline of my bony reflection. My shoulders lacked mother's curves, and my skin Amy's sheen. I was pale and haggard, but structurally, I looked like my brothers. Obviously, being younger than them and not as active, my muscles lacked any kind of strength, but I wouldn't have batted an eye if I saw myself holding a sword. I was a full head taller than I had been 6 months earlier, and I felt an odd certainty that I wasn't done growing either. Staring at myself in the mirror, I traced my name across the surface. Michelle.
Don't need the last two.
Michelle. Oh! For the first time in my life, I liked my name. I still didn't think an angel's name suited me one bit, but it was staggering how different it felt now, even if it sounded exactly the same. Those last 2 letters changed the meaning entirely, turning it from a girl's name into a boy's name. Now this makes sense. Everything was falling into place. My admiration for Didier, the envy I had for my brother's bodies, the feelings I had for Amy, the indecent dreams I'd been having. I was always male. I cackled like a fool for the first time in my life. I laughed so hard at the sight of myself, my stomach hurt. It was the first glimmer of light I had seen in this locked room for far too long. This was what I was supposed to look like. My life up until 6 months ago, constricted and uncomfortable. My life as a girl was all a lie. No one could possibly look at me and call me an angel. I was always a boy, but I had been told I was a girl, forced to act like one. Of course that wouldn't feel right. They needed to know. I couldn't be the only one who understood. Everyone in his house needed to. Fueled by this one desire, I wrapped a sheet over my shoulders and threw open my door. Oh my god. It seemed ridiculous how long I had followed Mother's instructions and remained cooped up in my room. And now I felt fantastic. If there truly was a God in heaven, then this change within me was his answer to my prayers. A manservant carrying a tray of food did a double take as I passed him. The further I proceeded through the corridors, the more eyes I felt on me. The midday sun shone obnoxiously bright through the windows. But now, with its piercing radiation illuminating my proper self, I felt an odd affection for the light. I could hear the family gathered in the great hall. Everyone but me. Didier's voice complained about the simple meals the church provided, but his pride came through in his laughter. George's voice playfully bragged about life at the royal court. Father's voice informed everyone his investments had borne fruit, and with the money had purchased several new estates. Mother's voice was distinctly less bright than the rest of the family's. She gave vague, empty indications she was listening, though mostly stayed out of the conversation. Amy's voice sang her praises for George's beloved husband. Never mind the fact that she was sleeping with Didier. It was all a facade. A mere shadow of a family.
It's a shame Michelle couldn't be here. Then we would have everyone.
I was there. I was right there. I hadn't gone anywhere. You just locked me in my room.
I hope she recovers soon.
I was never sick at all. The child you called Michelle was actually your son. That was all there was to it.
Huh? What?
Everyone's gazes concentrated on me, and I gave them all a quick glance, and then with my deepened voice I said, I am cured. I was cured 6 months ago. Who are you? Surely you haven't forgotten my face, have you? Father.
Michelle?
Michelle! This boy is Michelle? A wave of chatter spread throughout the hall. Mother went pale. Father objected. Didier stared. Georges gasped. Amy watched cautiously, fear in her eyes. What a farce. They were the ones who had wrongly decided I was a girl.
What's going on? Someone tell me, what is the meaning of this? You were dressing your son up like a girl, Mother? I assumed he was a girl. Otherwise I wouldn't have put my hands on him like that. You lied to me! I would have never agreed to it had I known! No, you're wrong! Michelle is my daughter! You call that a girl? All these months I was worried because you said he was sick. But that was all a lie. You couldn't pass him off as a girl anymore, so you locked him up in his room. Is that what this is? And you could have just stayed there. What possessed you to show yourself now? Stop that! Don't look at me! Don't give me that look!
You said you couldn't tell what's going through my mind, didn't you?
What?
Then you should know exactly how I feel about you right now. Don't be so damned full of yourself. I have no interest in a whore like you. So why don't you go cry into Didier's arms? You!
What? Huh? What are you talking about? Why Didier? Why not me? What? Hey, anyone want to explain that for me?
What had once been a nice family meal is now utter chaos. For the briefest moment I felt sorry for Georges, but that whispered away almost immediately. There was a crash from the table and dishes fell, shattering against the floor. Cursed. A chilling darkness oozed from her voice.
She's cursed. She was my daughter. I saw it with my own eyes. I gave birth to her. She was a girl. Michelle was a girl. A malevolent curse has been placed on her.
When Mother lifted her head, I had difficulty believing that was the same woman who had sat by my bedside as I lay sick, sacrificing sleep to care for me. Her hair was a frazzled mess and deep creases covered her face.
Restrain her! Throw her in her room and lock the door! She's a girl! A girl! She was a girl, I swear it!
Open your eyes! Do I sound like a girl? Do I look anything like a girl? Mother's cry sent me into a frenzy. I ripped the sheet off my shoulders, throwing it to the floor. I am not a girl! And shouted.
Eek! Restrain her! Please, someone restrain her!
Fear reigned in the great hall, but then several moments of icy silence were broken by a muttering that shocked me as much as anyone else.
You're not a boy or a girl. What on earth are you? You're an abomination!
You're not a boy. You're an abomination. I'm... what? I had seen myself in the mirror. I was undoubtedly male. Lacking in strength, though they may have been, I had visible muscles. My chest was flat and I was taller than a girl should be. My voice was deep and I had an obvious lump in the middle of my throat. I was male. I had to be male. What else could I be? So, why was Amy looking at me like some kind of strange creature? A chill ran down my spine. I found myself suddenly deeply uncomfortable being so exposed. There's nothing there.
You've got nothing there! What? What?
Nothing there. I didn't understand what she was talking about. Unable to press further, I fell silent, at which point several servants burst out into the great hall and restrained me.
She's a girl. She's my daughter.
Mother, seemingly in a mad daze, just repeated the same thing over and over.
She was a girl!
As Mother wailed, she wandered off somewhere. Father stood there in silence. Amy stared at me with disgust in her eyes. Georges was still in a panic, and Didier clenched his fists. Eventually, I started regaining my composure, which is then I realized I had made a mistake. My sickness had been made into a curse. I was once more caged up in my room. In addition to the door being locked from the outside, the windows were boarded over so no one could see in, leaving me in perpetual darkness. I received no visitors except the servants, and once again none of them would look me in the eye. Every day was the same, day in and day out, day in and day out. The only time the routine changed was when, on occasion, a servant would arrive bearing a letter. It was my mother's handwriting on the parchment. We lived in the same house, yet she refused to show herself before. Wait a minute. Another theory that came to my mind. What if he was born a boy, but had it removed? That's also a possibility. I had no choice but to respond to her letters. She demanded I speak like a girl, and I didn't have the strength to defy her. There was a constant sense of urgency to her letters, like she might fall apart completely at any second. And so I did as she said. I signed each letter Michel. The female name she bestowed upon me at birth, which I so despised. Every time I used that name, I felt like I was denying my own identity. On paper, she expressed her concern for me, but that concern only served to cause me more pain. And so every time I took up my quill, my hands trembled. Mother prayed daily that my curse might one day be broken. My cursed? Is that where my body changed? Was it not because I was male? There's nothing there. What did she mean by that? Why did she look at me the way she did? How am I an abomination? Why? I don't understand. Someone, anyone, please tell me. Someone, please!
Did he not know the difference? Has he not been shown the difference that... I have brought you supper. I'll be back shortly to retrieve your dishes. I'll be going then.
Wait.
What?
Wait a minute.
Yes? What do you need, Michel?
Are you a man or a woman?
Pardon?
Which are you?
I am exactly what I appear to be.
Which are you?
I'm a man. If that is all, I'll be going now.
Clothes off.
What?
Take your clothes off, right now. Everything, even your underclothes.
What? Surely you jest, Michel.
I'm very serious.
I could not possibly.
Why not?
I could not expose myself.
I ordered you to take off your clothes.
You mean to humiliate me? I beg you, please reconsider.
What are you? You're a servant of the Bollinger estate? And what am I? I am a child of the Bollinger family. I may be locked up, imprisoned in this room, but that doesn't make you any less my servant. Am I wrong? Clothes off.
Michel!
I ordered you to take your clothes off.
Oh my god, he wasn't even shown the difference between a man and a woman?
Not even the tiniest sliver of guilt arose in my conscience. I felt no shame in what I was doing. All that mattered to me was figuring out what Amy had meant. I wanted to find the truth, not knowing I would have been better off in the dark. His face twisted in humiliation. The servant undressed before me. In the dim candlelight, the man's body was shaped almost like a rectangle, and at a glance he didn't appear much different than me. A second later, though, I found my answer. I found the one crucial thing he had that I didn't. Why? My lower body lacked the part that made a man a man.
Are you satisfied, Michelle?
It was then that I finally learned what a man's body was supposed to look like.
I'm begging you, please allow me to dress. It would be an unbearable shame to remain unclothed any longer. Before the young Bollinger daughter.
Daughter? You still insist on calling me a damned girl? Look at these shoulders, my chest, listen to my voice. How can you possibly think any of that belongs to a girl?
But how you appear does not...
There was a distinct fear, a look of fear in the manservant's eyes. Not out of respect for our difference in rank, but out of disgust for this incomprehensible thing standing before him. Those trembling eyes, and the reality dangling there before me, blew the lid once more off everything I'd been holding back. Without that, you would be no different than me.
What?
Everything else is all the same. So why? Why does it make such a difference? That you have one and I don't!
Michelle?
I'm a man. I'm a man just like you. I am no one's daughter! And if you still insist that we're not the same, then I'll make you like me. Without that, you're no different than me. Oh! Oh! He did not. It was a mix of dread and panic that pushed me over the edge, and so in order to keep myself afloat, I decided to bring another pain.
Please don't do this, Michelle!
In a blind frenzy, hardly even aware what I was doing, just riding the current of my erupting emotions, I swiped a knife off the tray the man had brought, knocked him down, and climbed onto him. I'll get rid of it. I'll make you the same. Without it, you'll be just like me.
Get off me, please! Someone help!
I'll make you just like me.
Get in here, someone! Anyone! Michelle! She's delirious!
Through the fog of hysteria, I suddenly realized I was surrounded by several servants, and the next thing I knew I was on the floor beneath them. There were as many, if not more of them than when I'd made the scene in the great hall. A dozen men servants stared down at me, their eyes filled with fear and revulsion. And in the shadows beyond the crowd, I saw Mother looking in on me with vacant eyes. Mother, why? Why will you only speak to me through letters? Why do you say I'm cursed? Mother, I'm male! I was always male! Tell me that I am, Mother! Let me out of here, please! I'm not delirious! My head is perfectly clear! I'm normal! There's nothing wrong with me! I'm not cursed! Mother, say something! Mother! After that, I was shut in my room again. And even the servants stopped coming. I pushed and I shoved and I pulled and I pounded with all my strength, but the door and windows didn't budge. A day passed and then another. With no food or water, I started fearing death was upon me. I'd had no idea how miserable it was to go so long without water. My throat was dry and cracked, and it felt like it was on fire, making breathing difficult. 2 days. 48 long hours. I felt like I was going to lose my mind. And after just 2 days, my skin stretched tight across my bones, looking hard and dry in the soft candlelight. Water. I need water. Someone please give me water. Why won't anyone bring me any? Why? My family had abandoned me and were leaving me to die in this room. When I realized that, I broke into uncontrollable shaking. The helplessness threatened to suffocate me. Fear of death turned to panic, which only scrambled my already confused mind further. I grabbed a chair, swinging at the window, at the door. But all my attempts ended in crushing failure. Anyone! I clawed at the door, begging for help. Someone open the door! Anyone! Water. I need water. 1 drop, that's all I need. I'm going to die in here. Someone. Anyone. Mother. Father. Dedia. Georges. Someone open the door, please. Help me. Someone. I need water. My throat hurts. It burns. I'm so weak. Someone. Water. Didier. Georges. Anyone! God, fuck your family, my God, man! But not a single soul came to the door. With no food or water, the 3rd day came and went, and then the 4th. By that time, I was expectedly devoid of any sense of dignity, and I sat there covered in all manner of human filth, as my body quickly wasted away. Still, I clung to the vain hope that someone would open that door. It was all I had. Occasionally, I would hear footsteps. Whenever I did, I mustered up what meager strength I had left to bang on the door. Whoever's there, please, open the door. I'm begging you. Someone. But my pleas fell on deaf ears. Though they didn't respond to me, I could hear the Abigails muttering to one another in the corridor.
Did you hear that? Yes, I did. I wonder what's got into Lady Michelle. They say she was cursed. Maybe she sold her soul to the devil. How dreadful. We should stay away from that door. We don't want to be cursed too.
I'm not cursed. I did not sell my soul to the devil.
I'm kind of scared. I might have to find this work somewhere else. Gotta make sure we stay away from that door.
Why? You think I'm cursed? I never did anything wrong.
Lady Michelle has lost her mind. She's deranged. I'm scared even thinking about her.
I'm not deranged. My mind is perfectly fine.
She's right crazy. She's right mad.
No, I'm not. I'm perfectly normal. Someone, please get me out of here. Fuck your family, my God, man. The 5th and the 6th day passed, and by that point I was hovering on death's brink. I lacked even the willpower to hold myself up against the door, so I simply lay on the cold floor waiting for the end. I felt no sorrow, no anger, no despair. Nothing. I had been sucked completely dry. I couldn't even compose a coherent thought, which is why when the door I'd so yearned to open actually did, and someone stepped inside, standing over me, I was unable to process it. My God, what a mess. Hey, are you still alive? Well, look at that. I was afraid you would be dead. Oh. It was Amy's voice. What the?
I'm sorry, really. I didn't mean you much harm. But after what you said in front of the whole family, I was a little upset. I couldn't tell what she was saying. All I could hear were garbled sounds, and all I could do was moan at her. The servants are all afraid of you now, after your little episode. So I volunteered to bring you your food in their place. Everyone was so grateful. I didn't think anyone likes you anymore. Eventually, my muddy mind managed to make sense of the thing she was holding in her hands. A tray of food. I could smell it from her. At first, I just gave you your food to a stray cat. I wish you could have seen it devouring every last bit. Wow! What? What I didn't know, though, was that people can die in just a few days without water. I never intended to kill you. I just didn't know. So I'm really sorry about that. What? But you're alive. For someone so physically weak, you sure are tenacious. Isn't that nice? You have one thing you can be proud of. Water. What was that? Water? You want water? Hold on, I've got some right here.
She picked up a goblet with her delicate fingers. My hand swiped weakly at the air, trying to grab it. A grin spread across her lips, and then she let go.
Go on. Drink. You'd better hurry or the rug will absorb it all.
Oh my god.
You wanted water, didn't you?
Then drink. In that moment, I could hear the sound of the last of my dignity crumbling away. Driven solely by my survival instinct, I bent down toward the rock, pressing my lips against the spurting puddle.
You really did it! This is too good, Michelle. You look like a cat. No, cats are much more graceful. I can't stop laughing. The daughter of a prestigious family, the Bollinger sucking water out of a carpet. I wish I had a painter here to capture this image on canvas. So you know, I accept that I made a mistake, Michelle. I promised I'll bring you your food from now on. I'll take very good care of you. This is going to be fun.
Listening to her childish yet deeply malicious laughter, I understood. I was her plaything now. My hell was only just beginning.
And that's where we're ending it. So, demon child. So, Amy is a fucking whore. In more ways than one. You were right to call her that, pretty much, because she's a disgusting little bitch. Well, hopefully she'll get her comeuppance. Hopefully. Possibly. Probably not. So... Oh my god, though. Okay. Here's the theory that came to my mind here. When Michelle was born, the mother, in a sort of derangedness, kept insisting that the child was a girl. So, my thought is, it was removed. Just to satisfy her. Just to make it appear as though he was a girl, and thus was raised as such. That's my thoughts. But other than that, dude, well, until George does something that's obviously terrible and mean, I mean, extremely, like, I don't know. I've kind of lost respect for Didier because you're fucking your brother's fiance. What the actual fuck is wrong with you? And who knows? Maybe George is just like the victim in all. Is one of the victims in all this. His fiance cheating on him with his own brother. That must have destroyed their relationship right there. Though about Amy, though, I wonder what the hell she's doing. Besides torturing Michelle at this rate. But anyway, that's where I'm going to end it. Oh, God. I went on a little longer with this episode, but that's okay. I don't regret it. Oh, my God, though. Jesus Christ, the fuck! Okay, that's it. I'm done jabbering. Thank you so much for watching. I'm done. Oh, my goodness, though. Ugh. Also, part of me thinks that's not the real Giselle, though, that was shown. If it was, shit. But me personally, I want to think that that's not the real Giselle, and that's just an illusion that Morgana created, as a last-ditch effort to convince him to stay. But anyway, like I said, that's where I'm going to end it, and that's my theories and thoughts on this. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.